Hi, everybody. It's Lori from GLP-1 Journey in Review. So today it's kind of an impromptu live. I just thought maybe we'll talk a little bit about maintenance. I have been on compounded tirzepatide and also name brand Mounjaro since late December of 2023. I've lost anywhere between 60 to 65 pounds because I have a 5 pound range that I use for my maintenance. And today, that's what we're going to talk about. So I don't know if any of you are on maintenance or have ever uh, thought about what you're going to do on maintenance, but it's hopefully going to happen soon. I'm just trying to put this link up. There we go. Um, so there's no real guidance for maintenance. So that's one reason why I'm doing this. You get all excited. You're happy you're on maintenance. I know I was super happy when I got on maintenance. And, your first instinct is to celebrate. You buy new clothes and then you're like, oh, how am I going to keep this off? Because there's no super clear uh, guidance plans out there. So I figured at that point when I finished, I was on 10 milligrams and I figured of tirzepatide. So I figured, okay, let's go ahead and maybe lower the dose because I did not want to continue losing weight. I just wanted to maintain. So I lowered it down to 7.5 and I tried that for about 2 weeks and and just doing pretty good. Didn't really, change my diet too much. What I did was, lowered the dose. I slowly added about 100 to 150 to maybe even 200 calories. Um, Not every day, but most days. And I tried that for a while and it seemed to work. And I don't know, it was about 3 weeks. I figured, let me go ahead and try to lower my dose one more time. So I went down to 5 and I stayed on 5 for about 2 weeks and I was having a lot of food noise. Now, granted, I didn't gain any weight, but it was tough. I was struggling a little bit. So I figured, oh, why should I be struggling? I mean, I work so hard. So I decided I'm going to go back up to my 7.5, which I did, and kind of stayed there. Deep in the back of my mind, there I was like, well, if I go down again, I'm going to get food noise, and I started worrying, am I going to gain the weight back? Which I definitely did not want to do. Uh, Hi, Hamani. Uh, Good to have you on here. I would love to do an interview on you. So if you're interested, let me know in the comments. If you want to come up on stage, I have the link right above your comment. I'll see you in the background and put you on stage, and we could talk a little bit. Not an interview, just basically right now I'm talking about maintenance. So I didn't want to gain the weight. Now, have I thought about possibly going back down again? Yeah. Hey Shay, how you doing? Um, if I'm gonna go back down again, and again, right now, I haven't really thought too much about that because I'm really happy where I am, but I'll do it a little bit slower because I'm on compound and I can adjust my dosage accordingly. But I'm pretty happy at the 7.5. So, I'm thinking right now that's where I'm gonna stay. Like I said, I've increased my calories a little bit. Now, I'm struggling a little bit for the last few weeks because I hurt my foot again. And I know last year, right about this time, I had a fracture and it's kind of hurting a little bit in the same place. So I don't really want to work out too hard. So basically, over the last 3 weeks, I've really only worked out hard once. I worked out one other time. So I'm a little worried because I haven't been working out much. I'm still getting my steps in. I'm still wearing really good shoes. So I figured probably next week I might try to go twice. I don't know if between my schedule and how my foot feels, if I'm going to be able to do that. And this is all kind of stuff you really have to think about while you're going through, thinking about what am I going to do for maintenance. Uh, okay, Hamani, my information is on my channel page, and if you can't find my email there, if you go to my posts, it's there. So let's get in touch and we can work out a time for the interview. But anyhow, back to my story. Hopefully my exercise routine will get better. I don't want to push my foot too much because it was fractured and you know, through the last year I have felt it a little bit here and there, and like when I do, I just kind of really watch what I'm doing, and I think it's more my strength training where my foot actually hurts rather than my cardio. So I'm thinking if I do go twice, I'll just this coming up week, I'll just do like one cardio, and then when I go back the second time, I'll go ahead and I'll do both. So we'll see about that. But anyhow, like I was saying, 7.5, I'm pretty happy there. Uh, Again, I just came off of only a 4-day vacation. It wasn't a big one. And I gained 3 pounds and I've lost that. And as of this morning, I actually lost 1 more pound than that. But like I said, I have that little window and I never really was out of it. I just don't want to hang out at the high end of that. Uh, I have noticed since I've come back, I've been extra thirsty. I don't know if while I was away, since we basically had no kitchen, if the food that we're eating was saltier. I don't know if it's because of the weather. It's gotten just a little bit drier here in South Florida. I don't know. I kind of dragged my humidifiers out. I haven't really filled them up yet and started using them because we're worried about a storm off of the coast. Not that it's going to hit us, but it is bringing us some rainy and cloudy and humidity and so forth. I'm sorry, Shay. 7.5. Uh, I really didn't have a problem with 7.5. My favorite dose probably was 5, and I was on it the longest. Uh, I'm not going to say 7.5 was awful for me, but no, I don't think I was on it too long. I don't think I was on it more than maybe 3 months. Um, it wasn't my favorite. Again, I'm gonna keep posting the link because if any of you wanna come up here and actually talk, one-on-one with each other, the link's gonna keep reappearing on there. Um, so maintenance, it is a struggle, and you really have to find out what's good for you. I know that some people just continue on the highest dose that they were on and just add a little bit more calories. That works for some people. Some people back off on their exercise. I personally don't think that that's a good idea. Now, if you're not one that actually exercises a lot, that might not be a bad thing. You're on Shay is on Zepbound 10 milligrams and really likes it. Um, Actually, she loves it. Uh, I like 10. I really like 10. And like I said, I lost most of my weight on 5 milligrams. 7.5 I was on for a few months, and I just went up 10 just to lose the last little bit. Uh, Hey Grace, thanks for joining us. School's letting out. I don't even know what 3 o'clock. That makes sense. Um, Really loving your video, Grace. If you want to be interviewed, fine. If not, no pressure. Uh, you're kind of doing videos anyhow, so I thought, what the heck. Um, so Grace, you're ready for 10 milligrams. Like I said, I needed it. I was on like I said, the majority of my weight I lost on 7.5, because I just came out of or was on a stall. 7.5 took me out of a stall, but I really wasn't losing too much on it, like maybe a pound a month. Now, I knew that I was towards the end of my journey, so I knew it was going to take a little bit longer. So I wasn't too worried about that. I don't know, something about it. I just really wanted to. Part of it was me because I really wanted to get, to my goal weight and kind of not be done with it, but being done with, am I going to make it to maintenance? That type of feeling. So I went up to 10, and I tried that, and it pretty much got me there, and, like, when I had the last pound and a half to go, I kind of jumped the gun and said, "Oh, let me try 12.5," and, like, for me, that was terrible because I was literally forcing myself to eat and to drink, and I know that that's wrong, and I knew that I really food noise or anything on 10. I just kind of, like, was anxious to be done and a goal weight, so I'm like, "Okay," after, like, 2 weeks, I'm like, "No, this isn't right," and I went down to 10 till I finished, and that was probably somewhere around the 2nd week of January, and I've been on maintenance since. I've thought about possibly stretching out my dose, but right now I figured this is working so good, what the heck? Why not just, stay on it and see what happens? Uh, and part of that reason is I just started 2, 3 weeks ago with NAD+, so I figured, rather than stretch it out, let me just try that, and yes, I will be having a video on the NAD+, uh, or it's weird to wanna chase that kind of appetite suppression. Literally, I'm thinking about dinner right now. Well, if that's the case, you may need to bump up a dose, but you, maybe, just more proteins. Uh, again, I don't have to tell you you're a smart cookie. You don't need my advice, but if you weren't a content creator and I didn't know that you knew as much as you do, I'd tell you to you know eat more protein, see if that works, drink more fluids, hydrate a little bit better, see if that works before jumping up on dose. I know you know all these things, so you'll know when it's time to bump up. But, the average person, you know, sometimes I'll attempt to give my opinion, which again is my opinion. It's not medical advice. So, let's get that straight. I do have opinions and I express them a lot, but I'm not a medical provider. Uh, hi, Jareen, how you doing? Good to have you here. I watched part of your live with Joe and everybody until I had to go. Did I say cookie? Yes, I did say cookie. I want cookies. Well, you definitely do probably have to creep back up. Sorry about that, Grace. I didn't mean to call you Cookie and get you thinking of them, but that's kind of funny. Again, I'm going to keep putting the link because if any of you want to uh, jump up on here and actually have a chat, I'd love to do that. We did that last time, and it was kind of fun and kind of different and kind of exciting. Sorry, my cat just kind of walked in, got my attention. Uh, a little bit of the ADD. So anyhow, I started the NAD plus, and I got it from my normal provider, which I'll tell you all right now is Mochi. Again, they didn't give a super lot of guidance. Like they didn't even want me to talk to a doctor. They just said, "Oh, your provider approved it," and you know, sent it out. So, like, I requested a visit to the doctor, and he's like, "Okay, well, we would have sent you a little bit of information, but you can't really take too much of this. It's really hard. This is the dose that uh, we're giving you, and I think it was 40 milligrams once a week. Well, I didn't want to take it that way. I wanted to just try maybe taking 10 milligrams twice a week and see how I did before I actually went up on it. And then my wife decided, oh, I want to try it. And, because I was feeling so good from it, and, the tiredness kind of went away. Hey, Calamity, good to see you. Sorry, I stepped away to get a broom. She's saying hi to everybody. Uh, Calamity Jane, I'll be seeing you a little bit later. I just had some time to kill, so I thought I'd have this impromptu live. Again, if any of you want to hop on the stage, I'm gonna keep putting this here. So anyhow, my wife decided she wanted to try the NAD, so I figured, oh, I better order some, even though we were taking both taking half doses like that. Um, so I would have enough for the month. So I decided, well, I'll order it for her because she procrastinates on things like that. So I went to a different provider uh, who I was told knew a lot about microdosing and so forth. And the provider I had, I don't know if it was this particular provider, said, "Nope, we don't do it that way. Sorry." Sent it out. I'm like, okay, I'll just kind of figure this out on my own. So I talked to the person who recommended it and told me how she's microdosing, and I'll leave her out because it's definitely not her fault or anything like that. I'm not even blaming the provider because you know. I kind of know how to microdose. You can't really get into too much trouble taking less than what's prescribed on something that really isn't totally essential anyhow. So let's see what you guys are saying here. Shay, she's looking forward to maintenance. I will be titrating down and spreading out doses until you wean off the medication. That that is a plan and it works for some people. I going down and feeling all that food noise come back at 5, a little bit afraid to do that. So that's kind of like where I am. Plus, back when they didn't know what was happening with compounding, I really stocked up, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I probably have a good 10 vials in my refrigerator, enough where my wife, who's on Monjero, we stopped picking up her prescription because I have so much compound that she's just taking that because we do have some of her Monjero, but that's got a year or even longer on some of them. Bud date. I'm old fashioned. I call it expiration, but it really doesn't expire. It's just best used by, and even if it went a little bit past that, if it's 99.8% effective, that's okay with me. So anyhow, I have plenty, and this new stuff came, and again, they recommend. Their dose was a little bit higher. It was, let's see, I think they 20 milligrams 3 times a week. So again, I may go up to 10 milligrams 3 times a week. I haven't decided, but now I have plenty, a little bit playing around with. So I'll figure out what works for me. Hey, GLP-1 Journey, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. I appreciate all of you. I know this is an impromptu live. And again, if any of you want to hop on stage, I'm going to keep putting this link on here. If you don't, that's fine. No pressure. But I thought it was important to talk about maintenance because there's just, like I said, some people are lowering it, stretching it out, staying the same. There's no real guidance. I know that there's some studies out there right now that they're doing. Hopefully, that'll give us a little bit better guidance. But just like everybody's journey, everybody's maintenance is going to be slightly different. Um, for me, like I said, I was basically on 10. I popped down to 7.5. I've used 5. I've used 7.5, and sometimes when I go away for like a week and I've a pound over that 5 pound range, which, like I said, I'm going to be going away pretty soon for almost 2 weeks. I have a feeling I'm going to jump a little bit over that 5 pound um, window. What the heck? I only go on a long vacation once or twice a year. The rest of the time, it's, 4 or 5 days, possibly a week. So at that point, who knows? I might even go back up to 10 to lose it. That's one thing I like about compound is you get to kind of pick your dose and you get to play around a little bit. So, that is one plus. Although I have to say I was looking through the refrigerator this morning because I did my NAD shot, which is also refrigerated, and God, we have a decent amount of Monjero, and we have everything from 5s to 12.5. I'm like, I've got a whole vegetable drawer full of Monjero, and I've got a whole other vegetable drawer almost full of compound and NAD, and uh, I guess I'm kind of lazy because I kind of threw the syringes in there and so forth. Where do we find, what did you find you are addressing during maintenance? I don't quite understand that, but um, I'm telling you about my maintenance and how I'm doing it. Like I said, I was basically on 10, went down to 7.5, tried 5, heard some food noise, went back up, thought about extending it maybe 8 or 9 days, but something about that. I know I'm taking my shot on Saturday. Uh, it's kind of like muscle memory. I know that I'm doing it, and a fridge full of Manjaro giveaway time. Trust me, I've thought about that. You know, I gave some to my brothers on it when I went over to visit him for a few days. I brought him a couple vials, and I still have 10 or 11 left. Um, so what can I say? I'm using it. I'm letting them take out my membership fee, but they're not reordering it so that I kind of stay active. Plus, I'm getting my NAD through them, so you know they're okay with that. You know, as long as I pay the membership fee. So and like I said, I've added a little bit more calories and a little bit more carbs. Now, my wife isn't on maintenance yet. She's having a much slower time because she has COPD and she can't be super active. So her workout is, you know, we take walks once in a while, and she has, you know, a little elliptical thing, you know, underneath her desk, which does for like 10 minutes a day because otherwise she gets short of breath and so forth. So, like going to the gym, she goes once in a while, but not too often because of the COPD. And she's diabetic, and she's on some thyroid medications. So, she's having a harder time. So, when I've added the carbs, I try to add them to lunch because I eat my lunch at work. That way, it doesn't tempt her. Let's see what I think I'm asking what's signals you to try 5 or 7.5, etc. We're just trying to understand what comes back to dictate your dose and your frequency. Like I said, there's nothing out there. I'm personally deciding this. In my mind, I'm always thinking, you know, the less amount of medication that you're on, you know, might be a good thing. Hopefully, you know, I know at least 5 because that's considered the lowest therapeutic dose. I'm still getting the benefits, like, you know, of the heart and the liver disease. And, you know, they're also looking into the Alzheimer's and to the Parkinson's and so forth. So I know I'm still getting the benefit of that as low of a dose, that probably even on 2.5, but just I guess a little old-fashioned type of train of thought is you know, less medications, the better. You know, I think that too. I'm like super happy I'm not on blood pressure medications, you know, and the less medications I could take probably is a good thing. Now, the kind of turnaround to that is there's so many positive things with the GLP-1 medications, like I said, like Alzheimer's, liver disease, uh, possibly Alzheimer's and Parkinson, prevention on the Alzheimer's disease, and so forth, that it's probably good to stay on some of it. Although, you know, no shame to anybody that does want to come off of it. So, like I said, my just old fashioned thinking is like get on a lowest dose as possible. And like I said, my other theory was, well, maybe I'll just stretch it out. Um, it's not really a financial thing, but you know, anybody, you know, the less more you could save, the better. You know, I'm not saying I'm wealthy or anything like that, but you know, it just stands to reason. But for me, like I said, it's just I know I'm taking it on Saturday. My wife knows she takes hers on Saturday, pretty much within the first hour that we wake up. Now, granted, I wake up at 3 in the morning and she wakes up at 9, 10 in the afternoon. I just wake up at 3 in the morning because I'm usually at work by 5, and you know I like to get a little bit of chores done that you know she doesn't, need to be here so that we could spend a little bit more time afterwards. And sometimes now I'm waking up even a little bit earlier because I want to do some of this YouTube stuff, and I don't want it interfering with our personal time that we could spend together. But and then again, that's just me. So, is there the possibility that I might stretch it out on maintenance? There's a possibility. There's always a possibility of stuff. So, I'm not really too worried about that. Uh, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So they say. So I'm going to keep putting this post up here. Like I said, if any of you want to join me, that's great. No pressure. So how many of you are you close to maintenance? Now, I've been talking to some of my friends in the UK, and their new standards since their Monjero basically has gone up is that um, 22 BMI is, that if you're new to a company, they will not prescribe it to you unless you at least have a BMI of 22. I looked mine up and it's 21.6. So if I was in the UK and wanted to switch providers, or I'd kind of be screwed. So, a lot of, people, if they're in my situation and they're there, have to think about that and have to stay with the current provider that they're on. And, that's kind of a little thought in my head. Right now, compounding is kind of like the wild, wild west, and, they almost don't even care. But if I was to go to a new company, who knows if I would qualify, just for maintenance because I have not been a regular through my journey with them. So you have to kind of think about that too. Um, and again, there's no harm if anybody wants to try to get off the medication, go down and it doesn't work, because you could always increase, or if you gain weight, if you've gone off the medication, you could, after 3 months say, hey, this isn't working. I'm going to start it again because at least with the compound, you know, they'll prescribe it to you. And, depending on your doctor, if you go to him and you're having that problem, they could send a script to Lilly Direct. I don't know exactly what their rules are or so forth, but let's see what you guys are saying. I'm 13 weeks into Monjero. I've lost 34 pounds. Yay! Uh, Still in disbelief, but more motivated than ever. I think that's great. You've had great, you know, that's great. You can't expect too much better than that. And I don't want to say that it's not work, but it makes the work a little bit easier because you're not always thinking about it. You have that food noise, except for Grace, and I won't call her Cookie again, um, but I'm sure she's working on that food noise. You know, that is the tool that makes this possible. That is what's so what I think is so great about the GLP-1 medications is this, again, not easy, but makes it possible because when I was on other diets, my first thing is, oh, I'm going to be hungry all the time. All I could eat are broccoli and raw cauliflower, and like, I'm sorry, but under normal circumstances, I'm watching a football game. I'm not like, oh, let's get a big bowl of broccoli and cauliflower, and let's jump on that. It's usually, let's get something to eat. And speaking of football, I always try to eat before some good protein before I watch a game like that because, uh, and again, I have had some veggie platters, for that and so forth. Let's see what you're saying. Uh, did I hear my name? Yes, Cookie, you did. Sorry, Grace. Thank you, Grace. Cookie, sorry, Grace. Okay, so that's pretty much am I caught up here. I apologize if I missed some of these. Let's see. Okay, yes, so it definitely makes it easy, especially PCOS and inflammatory. It does help a lot. And like I said, to me, there's good reason to stay on the medication, which is why I totally don't want to go off it because as I'm finding more and more uses of it. Now, I don't have to worry about PCOS, but the heart disease, the liver disease, the Alzheimer's, possible Parkinson's, and just other things. The more I'm thinking, maybe I shouldn't go off of this, and like it affects the brain. It does something to the dopamine and what satisfies you and so forth. Where, you know, now it's like I go to a restaurant and if I have a meal and there's no salad and vegetables, I'm like, man, this doesn't really even seem like a meal. It's like, don't get me wrong, I'll have my burger and a couple of fries once in a while, but it's usually half a burger, just a couple of fries. And I'm like, you know, sometimes I'll have a salad first so that I make sure I only eat a half or a quarter of the burger and only three or four fries. So don't get me wrong, that's okay too. But again, as humans, I don't think most people sit there and think, "Hmm, I'm hungry. Let me get that big bowl of, radishes and raw cauliflower and raw broccoli." And, not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but I just don't think that that's natural, especially for us people who have been overweight or obese for a good period of time. Normally our brain thinks, you know, the foods that we really like. And now I'm sitting there watching the football and saying, I think I have that grilled chicken in the refrigerator, and I have those leftover black beans. Yeah, that'll make let me split that with my wife. That would make a really good snack and so forth for the two of us, or lunch, whatever. And that's kind of like what I'm craving now. The amounts are definitely different because before, and again, I don't think people were meant to calculate exactly how much they could eat because, ever since we were little kids, we had this big plate of food. And I don't know about you, but, my mother used to always say, finish your plate because there's starving kids in China or there's starving kids in Africa or, whatever. It's like, uh, and we always either they served us more than what we could eat or we just couldn't judge it right, and we usually took more than what we could eat. And as to not to get in trouble or feel rude or whatever, we would finish it. And that's kind of the way that a lot of us were trained as kids. And partially wrong, of course, but that's just the way it is. And now I usually take somewhere around what I'm going to eat, and if I leave some, I'm not upset. It's just the other day, like, uh, we had swordfish, and I usually watch the guys when they pick a piece of swordfish, to see how big it is, and have them cut it in two because there's two of us, and I really wasn't watching them, and I got them home like these are huge pieces, and I looked, it was like 1.2 pounds, so like each piece was like 9 ounces. It was huge, and uh, again, unfortunately, I paid for that because I wasn't watching them, but you know. I knew I wasn't going to eat it, had that, and had, my usual vegetables, and I probably had just a little bit less vegetables because I knew I had that nice protein there, but I knew I was gonna, when I got to maybe like 6, 7 ounces, I kind of stopped and then went back to the vegetables and called, like, okay, sorry, I kind of wasted it. My wife had the same type of thing. So let's see what you guys are saying. Yes, definitely makes it easy, especially with PCOS and inflammation. I think I read that already. So I think we're all caught up. Again, I'll put that link up there just in case anybody wants to hop on. Don't have to, but I think I might have lost that link. There we go. There we go. Now it's posting. Now I think I might have posted it twice. Okay. All right. I wasn't caught up. Sorry. Never cookie. You're the OG. It depends on my garden. I do crave fresh sugar snap peas, and those are good. That's a good thing to crave. I'm sorry. I eat them before they get into the house, and I probably would too. I just don't grow them. I live in a little retirement area, and there's really not that much room that I have. You guys are talking to each other. Is maintenance easier than the actual weight loss journey for you? In a way, it's easier because I really don't have to really track too much or anything. But like I said, the fact that there's no guidance, and again, I'm kind of making these, do I want to go down? Do I want to stretch it out? Do I want to stay the same? Do I possibly want to um, change what I'm eating a little bit to add some calories so I don't lose again? There's no actual laid out plans, or recommendations. So that makes it a little bit harder for me because, I have to come up with this plan. um, I don't think that exercising less is ever a good idea, but that's just me. And again, I don't want to add the calories with crap food like I used to eat. So, you know, uh, sometimes the protein, sometimes I make that a little bit bigger. Like I said, and sometimes I add some carbs. Uh, what's making it a little bit easier for me is the days that I'm working, which is normally 3 14s a week. I get factor meals. A lot of times I pick up an extra day or two, so then I'll get four. I've really never gotten too much more than four. If I do work a fifth day, I try to be able to leave a little bit early so that I could, make a little something for dinner. And I try to keep that light, like sometimes I'll have breakfast stuff, like I'll have protein waffles and eggs or something, or just, some leftovers, or like I said, being in South Florida in a retirement area, I must have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 or 12 delis within a 5 mile radius of me, and they have like grilled chicken and grilled salmon already made up, and sometimes they even have it in the tray, kind of like the factor meals, with a little veggie, because there's so many retirement areas in the area. So sometimes I'll pick up that, and first to admit, I'm a little bit lazy with lunches. I do that a lot for my lunches, and some of them actually have what the calorie count approximately is and so forth. uh, Sorry, just reading the comments. Calamity Jane. Uh, well, all Pilates have gotten larger too. Okay. New to streaming or looking to level up, check out the $10 discount. Oh, that's for me. Duh. Sorry about that. It's I must have hit share my link as opposed to the link to come on the stream here. Apologize for that. Uh, I've been doing this since 3 in the morning this morning, so it's getting to me a little bit. I'm going to be interviewing Calamity Jane in just a little bit, and that's going to be my fourth interview of the day. And I filmed one video and edited another, so it's been a YouTube day. And tomorrow I'm picking up an extra day. So the good news with that, and let me just check my phone here, is they're changing my location, and I should be able to uh, get home a little bit earlier, so it probably won't be a 14-hour day, but maybe a 10, 11-hour day. And for me, that's almost like a half day. So what the heck? Um, so that's pretty much, I wanted to talk to you all about maintenance and things you have to think about during maintenance. Uh, get it in the back of your mind, because like I said, I don't know about providers. If you're on compound, if you switch, they seem to be pretty easy to get prescriptions from. And don't tell anybody, but I'm sure you could, fib a little bit on some of the things. And, like, uh, funny story, when I first started and I filled out one of those questionnaires, and I'm only 5'2". I put down that I was 5 foot so that my BMI would be even higher, but I weighed 185. So my BMI was plenty high as it is. So I don't know what I was thinking, why I thought, oh, I have to lie, but or fib. We won't call it lying. So, you know, again, I know some people do that to get this medication. It's not too hard to do. I know people in the UK, they said that they've done that also to get on it, because it's just a televisit, and again, they don't see it from here. They don't know how tall you are. They There's a lot that they don't know. So anyhow, again, any of you have questions on maintenance, pop them in the comments. If you want, you could put a QQQ in front of it. I just want to tell you a little bit about what's coming up on the channel. I'm going away starting Halloween for, I think, 13 days. So I'm kind of stocking up a lot of interviews. I have my, 2 week that I try to do. I may do 3 that week. Uh, might not do another video. I don't know. I do have some piled up. So because I'm saying I'm not gonna work while I'm on vacation, but I get out there on the beach. I'm like, wouldn't this be a great place with a background to do a little video on the beach? I mean, come on, So I probably will do some. I'll probably at least do a live. Who knows? I might actually do it on the beach because where we stay, timeshare, and it's right on the beach, and the Wi-Fi actually does pretty much reach to the beach. So uh, I don't think I'll bring my laptop to the beach, so I'll probably do it on my phone. But I'm sure you guys will excuse that for the nice background on the beach. I have some pretty good wireless microphones that I'll use, so that's a good thing. So uh, uh, interviews coming up. A couple of bigger people in the UK, a couple of bigger content creators in the US. Um, I released a video today from Adrian, who is ex-contestant on The Biggest Loser, where she talks about her experience on The Biggest Loser and about her weight and her GLP-1 experience. So, check that out on my channel. It was just released actually yesterday. So check it out. I've got, lots of other interviews that I've done. I'm actually being interviewed Thursday on the downsized, not the downsized. I already did the downsized, the plus sides, and it's supposed to be the girls from the plus sides and me and Dr. Dan. And I'm going to talk about some of my weight problems, and he's going to weigh in on the medical part of it. Hopefully, tell me if that's affected like my dopamine and all that kind of stuff like that. All that medical stuff that I'm in the medical profession, so I like to hear it. But uh, he explains it in such simple terms that anybody likes to hear about it. So got some other videos coming out. They're a little bit shorter because I've been pretty busy. Instead of being like 10 minutes, some of them are only like 6 or 7 minutes. Some of them are 12 minutes. Um, Again, just trying some new things. Uh, I don't do a super lot of lives. This was kind of an impromptu live because I'm thinking uh, I had like an hour and a half before my next interview. So I figured, what do I want to do? My wife's in the other room working. So, hey, let's have an impromptu live. And um, Allie from one of my friends who just achieved his maintenance. Monjero by Ali is his channel. He's all excited because he's on, I think it's his second week or his third week in maintenance. So go over and check out his channel. I'll have some links to some of your people's channels in the description. Right now, it's not going to come up, but when I wake up in the morning, that's one of the things that I do. Why I wake up so early is I'll add all these links to it, to this live and so forth. And I might edit one of my other videos that I just did. So that's pretty much all I have to say today. And if you have any other questions, pop them in here. Uh, let's see. Unfortunately, unable to join, still at work. Okay. Well, I'm supposed to see you in a little bit. If you're going to be late or anything, let me know. Let's see. We have some new people on here. Uh, I'm just going to the middle of the state to Hutchinson Island. We have a timeshare that we have there. Um, it's usually a week, but they owe us like 6 days. So we're going to go there, and who knows, we may pop up to Orlando because 10 days on that island is kind of a long time. But as far as we're concerned, we might as well be in the Bahamas, and too far, for work to bother me or anything. Although they're going to try and say, well, our Palm Beach Gardens location is only like 30 minutes away, but doesn't really work. Hey, Keely, how you doing? Laura, you mentioned interviewing me in one of the videos. How do I follow up with you? Okay, so I'm going to put this in here, but also my email address is on my channel page. And I know if you're on your phone, it doesn't really show up all the time. But if you go to my community post or my posts on there, I do have my email on there, and you could reach me. Uh, and there is my email address that I just put up there. Uh, Hey, Val, glad you could join us. I appreciate all your support. Appreciate all of your support. And again, here is my email address. Also, my channel, GLP-1 Journey and Review at Yahoo, is another one of my email address. So you could reach me that way. Also have social media. The links are on my channel page. You can message me through there. So if any of you are interested in an interview, those are ways to do that. I know when I ask some of you about interviews and I post my email address, within minutes, YouTube takes it down. So if you don't happen to catch it right away, I always try to tell people on my channel page, there's my Insta account, my Facebook, and I check the messengers on both of those all the time. And if you go to my posts, I have both this email and my Yahoo email are in the posts. And I try to, I know my Yahoo one is a little bit down there. So, like, I post my Gmail one, and probably next week I'll repost my Yahoo one so that it's somewhat current on there and people uh, will do it. It's better week this week. Always good to hear that. Uh, You're welcome. Feel free, anybody interested, message me, email me, whatever. Love to hear from you. Love to interview you. You don't have to be a content creator. You don't even have to be on a GLP-1. It's any weight loss. If you want to talk about a Weight Watchers experience, another type of diet, carnivore, any of those types of things, high protein, any of those, I'll be more than happy to interview you and find out about your weight loss experience. I had a pretty big creator this morning that I interviewed from the UK. His name is Alan. Uh, Alan is Losing It is his channel, so make sure you check that out. It'll probably come out in a week or so. I've interviewed Brittany Rose. I don't want to post that too soon because the Downsides just posted theirs last week, and I know I've talked to them and they don't really care. But I just don't want to flood you people with too much of the same person at the same time. So I'm going to wait a few weeks before I release that one. A couple of other people from the UK, along with other people in the US. Um, so that's what's happening. I want to thank everybody for joining me. Please make sure that you like this. Please smash that subscribe button. It really does help. Make a comment. I appreciate all of your support. This channel wouldn't exist without you guys. And if I could help one person, I think my channel is worth it. That's why I do this, because it's not from the money. Anybody that has a YouTube that's monetized, you're really lucky if you can make $100 a month. Got to step out from the chat now. Looking forward to the upcoming interview. Perfect. Let's see what else is going on here. Take care, everyone. All right, with that, I'm going to sign off. I want you all to have a good day. And remember, it's your journey. Try to make it a good one. Try to make it a healthy one. Don't compare your journey to other people's journey. Everybody's different. What works for you might not work for somebody else, but hopefully you could get some hints from them. And that's the whole idea behind all this. So y'all have a good day and I'll catch you next time.